Hey everyone, hope everyone is well today. Um, so it looks like my watermark is over my face, which, I mean, my face isn't that important, I guess, so, I mean, I can move it, but it's fine, at least you know I'm a person. I was gonna kind of just finish off where I started in the last stream. I wonder if I could do like text overlays or something. Actually, you know what? I'll put it in the chat basically what the goal of the stream is. Um, there we go. So maybe that will help. Um, yeah, so basically, kind of like for streams in the near future, I'm just going to kind of do a little bit more drawing and designing and stuff like that. Because ultimately, I want to um, have all the main playable characters have designs, at least kind of more updated designs that I can work with for a time being. Um, we're starting with Xena here. She's like the mage character. Um, and we got some good progress done on the last stream, but now I have to kind of figure out her clothing. And this is the part I kind of find is the hardest sometimes because it can get into a lot of detail, but it's like how much so. So let's see. So I'm just gonna kind of look around for clothes reference, kind of think about kind of things that I want to see. Um, I did find this reference image the other day. So I think this outfit's actually really similar to what I would like to see. Because it has sort of that Asian vibe, but it also feels kind of loose and free. Um, I don't think I want to copy this exactly though, so I'm gonna have to think about ways to make it different but still make sense with the character. Um, I do like that's like kind of like a kimono, but not really. I like the sleeves as well, kind of with the bare shoulders. Um, I also like the idea of having some sort of like loose, like string kind of part um, to it. So it's I don't think we're going to use exactly this kind of looseness here. I'll experiment a little bit with that. Um, but we'll kind of go play around with some stuff. Yeah, and I'm looking down because my screen is on the tablet right now. I have the tablet kind of in front of me and then the monitor like here. I have a television up top, so if you see me looking at top, I'm looking at OBS. Um, I've kind of got this sort of like command center in my office, I guess you can call it. All right, so let's kind of look around, look at some clothing design options. So, okay, I used that for the face. We also have something like this. I like the idea of the robes. Um, it could be good. I'm not sure I want to use that though. Could think about it. There's some pros and cons to it. Um, the robes do kind of sell the mage look a little bit. I could see that being the case. Um, so think about that too. Let me pull up my Pinterest board. Maybe that would be easier to see. Give me one sec. Oh wait, they changed the interface on Pinterest. I want to find my pins. Here we go. So fundamentally, um, I like to keep designs a bit simpler, mostly due to my own artistic limitations. But also, I think simpler designs can also lead to a very more readable and presentable design. Um, I also think, as far as like anime style goes, I think having something simpler can make it feel more appealing in some ways, because it's like much easier. And plus, like it also kind of the cartoon vibe kind of fits. Um, so the idea I had was like, yes, with the artistic limitation, I still think we can make something that still looks pretty good because of just the way, kind of like the bold colors, the smooth shading, and stuff like that can still be appealing. Um, I like to think of art as like depends kind of like who's doing it is, and art styles I think make more of the game than how good the art actually looks. I think if you have a consistent style that and it's also appealing, then I think you could still get a lot done with it. Um, and I'm not here to claim that I'm like a great artist or a good artist by any means. I have drawn kind of in spare time, but I still got lots to learn. I at least know how to like use drawing software. I can at least tell, at least kind of say that. Um, okay, so looking at some of these designs, or some of this inspiration here, could look something like this. Oops, it broke. R.I.P. Um, okay, so there is like the flowing sleeves is an interesting idea that we could explore. Um, I don't think I think the dress is a bit too skimpy on this one, but I like the idea to flow. And actually, if we mentioned earlier, one of the design motifs for Xena was actually a butterfly. So this does give me butterfly vibes a lot, um, especially the sleeves. So I really like this conceptually as an idea. Um, so we could look into that. And actually, what we could do is just copy the image, go back over. Um, so what I'm going to do is actually just make a new document for now. We'll just make a. We could try this. I haven't really. We can kind of put our different character references here. Just kind of collect more of them. We'll talk about what we like about each design and potentially how it fits the character we're designing. Okay, Pinterest looks like it's having a little bit of trouble today. Let's go back and look at some of the other ones we were looking at too. So this one, like I think I mentioned earlier, I do really like the eyes. It kind of exemplifies the cuteness a little bit. Um, in a way, just kind of like the innocence. The the tiara type thing is interesting too. I don't think it's necessary though. Um, I think I prefer like the bun tied up hair look that we already have. I think a jewelry though could be beneficial to the character design, so I think maybe we'll keep that in mind. Um, I hesitate for the robes just because the robes are probably out of my league in terms of drawing. Um, but I think we could try the butterfly like sleeves. And if that doesn't work, we can look at these robes potentially. I don't think we need to do a long dress either. We could, Although I typically mage characters do have longer dresses, so it's something um, we can consider. Hello, thanks for joining the stream. So let's copy this one. And I'm just going to kind of swap over to... I'm just going to basically take each reference and we're going to kind of like highlight some things we like about them. So I think I like the sleeves, right? Maybe like these parts too. The hair is kind of cool actually. It's like really long and it's got like this kind of long shape. I think on this one I like the jewelry. So we'll kind of point toward the jewelry and maybe potentially the robes. The Alright, so let's just swap back. Keep looking at some of the reference images that we got. Yeah, Pinterest is having a hard time today, it looks like. Alright. I'll pull some of the existing ones we already looked at and we'll take a look at them. This one, like I said before, I do like the loose sleeves. I like the kind of the dress. I actually kind of feel like a shorter dress is better. Now, despite like saying that mages tend to wear longer dresses, I think for Xena specifically, based on the way I've described her, I like the shorter dress. And in a way, it symbolizes kind of a more free, loose personality than a longer dress would. I think a longer dress would be a more like reserved, subdued character. I think with Xena, since she's basically a bit more open, excitable, a kind of like seeks freedom type character, you know, one with nature, I think having a shorter dress actually would exemplify that a little bit more. That's my opinion, at least. So I think I'm going to go with the shorter dress. And of course, I'm not going to make it too skimpy. I think short enough so it covers, you know, important parts. Doesn't have to be too long. I'm going to put her here. Yes, I think I also do like kind of like this part in front a little bit, but I think I might style it more like a kimono than like kind of like a two-piece like this one here. But we can play around with this. All right. Yeah, so we want kind of like this longer dress, or just shorter dress. Another thing I like is kind of like these ribbons. And of course, like I kind of like the bare shoulders. If anything, it adds a little bit of grounding to the design. In a way, kind of like a little good contrast. So I think it's neat. We could play around with it. What else we do? This character kind of has like a peacock kind of vibe going, which is neat, but not quite what we're going for. But I do think as long as she has some sort of flowy bit, it can help a lot too. Let's look at some other designs. We'll have to talk about color palette too, but I'm actually not even going to go into that yet. This was another character design I really liked originally, because there's been a lot of iterations of Xena, kind of at least in my head, or at least in, you know, ideation of this game. She used to be blue, but she's actually green now because because Spirit is the green color now. So back when like she had blue as her main color palette, like this was almost exactly the kind of character I imagined her to be. But I think now I would probably lean a little less away from this. That being said, though, I think what this design does really well is like the flowing sleeves. In a way, it's kind of more. I like these sleeves better than the first one that we saw. I also kind of like the two prong thing in the back. It looks like it kind of ties her kimono together. Um, she's also got like a socks and sandals kind of thing going on. If you could kind of see that, that's what I have already. Um, oops. Except I didn't put the socks. I have the sandals. Um, so I think there's a lot to like with this reference here. I think as far as the outfit goes, this is probably going to be the closest one I could find. I don't want to copy exactly though, but I do like this bow. It kind of ties her kimono together. I like that it's like a kimono. And then she's also got the dress kind of aspect of it. We could do like a two-piece dress too. I'm not as big on the hair in this one. Let's go back and we'll put more. Looks like I'm gonna have to make a little bit more room here too. So yeah, so we kind of like the outfit. Oops, it's a eraser. It's kind of like the sleeves, and then the bow thing. So we'll kind of stick with that. Let's look at a couple more. Let's take a look at some of like anti designs. Maybe there's something we can like derive from them, right? So I think this one's a good example. I think it's here maybe because of the dress, but maybe also because of her petite kind of build. But I do think this kind of resembles more of an angel than it does like a butterfly. Um, Also, I think the color scheme is not exactly what we want either. Nor are there really the weapons, but I'm not really too worried about the weapons right now. Um, this also gives kind of more of a princess vibe, so Xena's not exactly a princess. I wouldn't call her one. Let's see. But is there anything that we could look at this design and say, hey, maybe that does vibe? I think kind of like the aspect of the dress kind of being poofier is neat. I'm not sure I would. Um, the hair, yeah, not quite. But I think it's also good to look at some like anti designs too. Um, and I mean that in the sense that like this is not a bad character design. I mean it more that like this character design isn't exactly what we're trying to make. Um, let's see. How about another one? So this looks more like a traditional mage you'd see in like a school setting. Um, Now, my game does not take place in a school setting. So this kind of has a more like European Harry Potter type feel to it, whereas like we would want a little bit more of like an Asian kind of like shogun kind of idea. Um, but I do kind of like how this is like a very solid color. Um, the colors do clash a little bit because the cape is the same color as the dress. And sometimes that's not always the best, but it's. I think again, it really comes down to the intentionality in these designs. So there's probably a reason why that's the way they chose that. Um, the head thing is neat too. Um, and she has some bangles here, but given the way Xena is, I don't think she's really going to be dressed for combat as much as she's just dressed for like hanging out in nature. Um, yes, every character does go through combat, but it's not every character's primary purpose. Um, and as a mage, you kind of get a little bit of leeway in that because you're not really up in front. So the long stockings are kind of neat too, though. I do kind of like that, and it's something we could potentially play with. Um, it's like a belt thingy. A necklace is also a really good idea and something we can consider doing, but I'd have to think about what that necklace would represent and why it would be there on her design. Usually, when a character wears a necklace or some sort of jewelry, it's usually resembling something that is important to them or it has some sort of like reason to be there. It could also just be kind of like an aesthetic sense where the character just feel like, oh, this is pretty, I want to wear it. Um, so okay, and the last one we can look at here. Actually, there's two more. Let's take a look at this one. Um, I think this one's a little bit too seductive for Xena's design. There are other characters in my game that would fit better, but this is not her. But this kind of flowing ribbon thing is really cool, though. It does give off more of a dancer vibe, though, than it does a mage. But it's an idea we could play with. I want to at least give her some sort of like ribbon or flowy thingy anyway. This could be an idea for that. Um, yeah, just a little bit too much exposure here. But there, typically when I'm on Pinterest and I'm looking at these character like references, I usually find one or two aspects of the image I see before I add it to my I was gonna say, what do you call it? Pin group, not pin group, but you know what it is. My board. There we go. For each character design. So like, there's obviously something I liked about this. And then there's this one too. So this one like this one's also very simple, which I do like simple. And the flower in the head is interesting. If we want to kind of go back and see if there's any sort of like accessory we can put on the character's head or hair. But I think given she already has the emerald and she has basically the bun and the chopsticks holding up the bun, I don't think we need to add too much more than that. Um, it's like a little bit too bare at the top here. I do like a little bit of exposure like on the shoulders. I can't really tell you why, but I don't really want too much like exposure on the top. Um, but the white kind of going into the red is neat too. Um, or at least the color contrast here. And this dress is pretty good. Um, okay, so let's go ahead and go back to kind of the design. So I think what I want to do is start with kind of like these two. So the girl with the umbrella as well as this one here. And we can kind of play around with that. I guess see if I already have. Oh wow, it's very blurry. Okay, I'll just get a new one. Excuse me. And I think what else I'll do is I'll make this canvas just a slightly bit wider. So we can work with that. I could put the reference images a bit further to the right. Looks like I gotta reset the mirror. Okay. I'll hide some other stuff here. Okay, so this is in reference to the old design. So actually what I'll do is I will hide the blue. Actually, we do kind of want that. That's our hair. I'm not very good at keeping my layers organized. Where's... Okay, I want this one. What we'll have to do at some point as well is once we kind of have this very basic layout of the design, we can draw some key art as well, like character in different poses. And that will help sell the character. Typically at that point though, I would actually do the 3D model first. Or at least like a base 3D model. Because then I could just pose it as a 3D model and then use that as a way to like help draw the key art instead of trying to finagle proportions and stuff. Alright, so if we look here, I do kind of like... So there's got to be a way to keep the sleeves on the character. So let's see. This is a little bit too jagged as well. I think I actually had like a Clip Studio Paint kind of pose here. Yeah. Okay. Something like that, right? So there's gonna be, but yeah, it does need to be a little bit. Actually, it's kind of hard to see with the blue underneath. I think. Okay, so we can keep that still as the base. So I gave her kind of like this turtleneck here. I could probably instead could do, so we got to get her neck here as well. And then, yeah, we could kind of do something like this. Now I'll have to make this asymmetrical, but we don't have to do that right this second. And a little bit of volume as well. So I just could have do, there we go. Excuse me. All right. There's like a little stripe there. Actually, we won't focus on the details right now. And then, actually, and it's typically true of kimonos, is that you would have your belt pretty high up. And you can make it pretty wide as well. That would also mean I'd have to basically give this a little volume here. We can have kind of like the shirt have like a fold kind of going into it. There we go. Same with this one. And then I think what we'll do is in the back, I'll put this on another layer just so I could put it behind. We can do the bow kind of like this. Kind of like, let's just say there's like a circle here. And it looks like a straight bow. In this case, I'm willing to exaggerate this. It can look basically really exaggerated. And then that could be kind of like what her flowy bit would be. Something like along those lines. We can mess with that though. Paint layer 3. Okay. I think another thing I have to do is make this larger. The dress itself, think about where the dress would terminate. Probably, I'm guessing her crotch is right. Excuse me. Actually, her legs do seem kind of long. That's fine now. We can work with that. So I think the dress would kind of go here and terminate kind of around here. And what I'm going to do with her legs is we'll give her some stockings as well, but let me draw, oops, let me draw the leg back out. And I think the stockings can go pretty high, actually, somewhere around here. And this should just be a solid color. I don't think it needs to be anything special. Grab her knees as well. Oops. Yeah, that should be fine. this saves me for having to model individual toes as well, so that's nice. She's got kind of these cleat like sandals. All right. Actually, I noticed what they did with her bow is like kind of like that. I'm also gonna just take this layer. Lower it. All right. And then so there has to be a way for these sleeves to actually like just stay on, because if they're completely loose, they will fall off. So I think we can kind of have this like base thing here. It's supposed to be the other way around. Yeah, it's supposed to be the other way around. Right. So I think to actually like what I can do is I can have this be really kind of tied on, and then we can have the loose part of the sleeve. So like there can be like kind of like a band here. So in the old design, I kind of had like this little pointing part. Could do something like that. Maybe it could be kind of like a bandage type thing, right? Yeah, there we go. So at least the sleeves can like basically stay on now. And then, actually I can hide the, there we go. So now this will be easier to see what's going on. Now regarding the sleeves, this character's sleeves, yeah, they would have to drape down more. So I think I could do, so they kind of float up with the physics. If I drape them down like this, right? Don't forget about this stuff right here for now. like the base. Then I think there would be a part where this kind of like folds over the arm. Kind of like that. And there's kind of like a small draperage. Okay. Yeah, I think there is also a need to like with the other design. There's supposed to be a rule with kimonos. It's like there's one of the sleeves, or like when you fold the kimono over top of your chest, one of the sleeves goes above the other because it's opposite when the person is dead. I don't remember exactly which one it is. I think it's left over right, but I'm not sure. Oops. Well, either way, I can do. I'll just turn the mirror off for now. Oops. And then we can actually fix that too. Do this the hard way. There we go. And then I'll just have to correct it if I got it wrong. But that's fine. Her neck's actually kind of thick. I'm going to make her neck a bit thinner. Oops, turn the mirror back on here. That should be a little bit better. I'm trying to kind of slightly ground my designs, so I'm not giving them like complete anime proportions, but in this case a smaller neck would actually serve this design a lot better. I think it's a little bit better, right? Yeah. Okay. There should probably also be like a small detail around the... Actually, I think what else I'll do too is I'll actually make it cover a bit more of the sleeve. There we go. There we go, that's better. And we'll have to tweak the dress. I'm going to flip over to the other designs though. So this dress is pleated. It's got the pleated design, right? So yeah, so there's like this. Let's see. So we could try maybe just kind of like a dress more like that one in a sense. Another thing I'm thinking of as well is, well, I think the bow is really cool. There are some issues with it. Given that her hair is actually fairly long. Actually, I could just delete that later. Where is the hair? It's a little bit hard to see here. It also clashes a lot with the bow's going to clash with the hair. I think it works in this design because in the reference because our hair's shorter. So I'm actually going to probably think about a way we can improve that. Now with a very T-posy like silhouette, it's gonna really kind of be harder to form the silhouette. But I think with the pose it'll be easier. Okay. Alright. I think another thing could potentially do is oops. So you see it a little bit here. Is that like it can doesn't have to be like a full kimono, but it could be like a kimono top. So like if I plug this back in, you can have it kind of go down to like a little bit to her waist here. And then this would be oops, maybe that's like and then we can have the dress kind of coming underneath it. So this part gets a little bit okay, that's their hair, that's why. And then what we can do with the skirt is kind of have it like and then yeah, the kimono, and then this would be like kind of like where the kimono ends, so you can have that kind of like have a fixed thing there. I think that would be slightly tighter, yeah. No, I'll actually loosen this part up a little bit. Okay. Actually, no, this has to be out. I don't think there would really be any like overlap here because it's already kind of going the side. That should be fine. Again, like at least for now. I think I can even make this wider too. There we go. There's actually maybe I'll do kind of more at this angle here. Same here. This would probably be more at that angle. does seem a little too tight though. Anyway, whatever. So I think, okay, with the skirts, could probably be a tiny bit longer. I think it would be interesting though to kind of still have that. Yeah, I think that's what I'll actually do. So I don't have to worry about the stocking. We'll actually make the skirt. Oh, shit. Make this longer. Oh, I changed my pen color. Kind of down to here, I think. Actually, yeah, I can. There we go. I think the longer skirt's better here. Now I think what I also want to do is with the kimono thing. That's where. Okay, so this example has a pleated skirt. So I think typically I draw it like this. And then I kind of like. Kind of silsy look. Let's see. And like hers actually kind of. Actually, yeah, actually that's what I want to do. Let's try this. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I want to also still have. Okay, so we got that. So now we gotta get our wavy bit. So I could instead, let's see, I think, yeah, she'll still probably want a bow in the back because that's gonna hold up her kimono. I could also do it in the front, but I think usually they are in the back. Gotta think about that. Let's look at the other designs here for a sec. Okay, see, you see with hers that like she has a pleated skirt, but this thing still kind of drapes at the front. This one's kind of got like the little necklace thing. Actually, maybe I'll take inspiration from this design here. So like there's a necklace here, and then there's some sort of like things from the front. So we could do it from the front. Another option is kind of something like this, where like there's a little bit of a side thing going. So if I did, I could put like another potentially like gem-like thing here, right? And she should have some sort of necklace as well. I think I'll have to put that on a layer above. I think. And the necklace can kind of have like that kind of. Actually, no, I want to do it like this. Kind of like how you do that. And we'll do. Do something like that. Make this not a butt. There we go. And then I can just raise it up a little bit. Actually, no. This is gonna have some like some sort of like design on it too. I'll keep it like simple for now though. Could be an heirloom from her adopted father or something. Should be down lower too. And then kind of like want it to be from here, right? She'll have that. Doesn't clash too much with the emerald on her kimono thing. But hold on. We'll move this up a little bit. Maybe like to there. Kind of looks like a dream catcher, actually. Then I want to try to get a wavy bit of some kind. Back to this layer. So yeah, I think actually I will return the bow, but the bow can be smaller just to kind of show that this thing is usually the bow would kind of just so we could see it from the back. Oops. And then kind of draw a template for it, right? And this one actually had like a layer above it, which I liked. Oops. Just erase the kind of the circular part here. We can just so we can kind of see like where that bow comes from. All right. Should save this. So wavy bits. So my cat came in. I'm petting him. All right. All right. So let's take a look. I think I kind of want maybe something that kind of comes around the front like this, right? Maybe more like that. No. Actually, no, it should be kind of like that. Right. This should probably be. I think this can come from the back, kind of like where the bow is. So it'd be like the source. And this ribbon can actually be even wider here. And then she can also have one that maybe potentially could, is in the back too. So it's like a this is like a little bit extreme, but we can play around with this. Kind of looks like a snake kind of thing. Maybe not quite like that. I gotta turn that thing off. All right. Gonna have to. Somebody outside. So let's see. So we kind of want, if we want to kind of go butterfly, it's like just wings up here, and then there would be kind of wings down here. So maybe what I can do is just make this kind of thicker, right? But maybe I can still like still gotta read though the design. And yeah, this would be kind of like, that actually looks kind of neat though. I like that. And then we could kind of clean this part up a little bit. See how we can make that a little bit more interesting. Well, maybe if there was like a second layer that pops up, kind of pops up right here, right? I just don't want it to like clash too much with the design. Yeah, and then this wouldn't really be part of the dress. It would just be kind of like a flowy ribbon bit. If anything, it could be like a poofy layer, maybe. Could also do one of these things where like it folds in. And then, yeah. So if I were to actually like erase that part now, oops. It looks something like that. And it also kind of adds a little bit of yeah, we'll have to see how it looks in action. It might be a little weird. I kind of like the idea though. It's like a little bit poofier. Any thoughts? Let's see. Okay, another thing. Okay, so I mean it's something. We can work with this. So like does kind of represent the butterfly a little bit because you got like the top wing, then the bottom wing here. So I think that's neat. It's just I don't know if that's gonna clash too much with the design. Especially with the dress. I could potentially also shorten the dress a little bit again, and then we leave this part. Let's try that. Is it this one? Yeah. Here. I just want to draw the legs back in too. You don't really see it. That's fine, but okay. So then what that does, we can maybe kind of like a fold there too. Actually, yeah, that reads a lot better, I think. And then with the back, I can probably even round this out a little bit. Okay, that's cool. So I want to maybe make some final adjustments to her hair. Thinking also giving her like a second chopstick. Something along those lines. And then my original thought was that the hair would kind of come out like this. It would wrap around the head. And then we got this kind of like this one here. Actually, what I can do is yeah, it looks. I actually do kind of like one of her bangs being a little bit out and the other one being tucked in. I also think there should be a little bit of overlap in the hair here because of the emerald. But it's like kind of, there we go. Oops. Yep, there's the emerald. Kind of something like that. Yeah, this still feels a little unnatural though. Play around with it, I guess. But to be fair, if there's a character's hair that I can exaggerate, it would be hers. So, I could also just, whoops. I could also just make it go down as well. It could be like this, right? I just had to. It doesn't look too bad either, actually. I could vibe with that. That might actually be a little bit better, right? And then our other one can kind of tie in a little bit. And then there's still the bang here. Actually, yeah. Draw a little bit of hair. Whoops. texture for the hair too. All right. All right. Yeah, I could mess with that forever. All right. So with the sketch we have right now, let's play around with a little bit of colors, shall we? Um, I guess I could trace everything, but it would definitely make the design a little bit easier to see what's going on. But let's go ahead and play around. Yeah, because tracing it might. I gotta think if I want to do that. Here's what I'll do instead. Just take all of these layers here, duplicate them, and then we're going to merge them. And then these we can group. That'll be the base drawing, and then this one. And what I can do is I can go ahead and erase parts that we don't need. I could probably do this an easier way, but it's fine. And at least this way too, it's easy enough to. Okay, and that's where the bow goes. Wait, is that her bang? No, that's not her bang. Okay. This is where the bow is. I don't want that. I think, yep. Oops. Accidentally killed that. That's fine. Yeah, I'm just going to basically erase the parts that overlap. And then, okay, so that's a bang, yep. This is where the hair overlaps. Cool. It does overlap her ear, though. Yeah, just a quick and dirty thing here. Yep. Should probably kept the back of her hair in a separate layer. It made things easier. But that's fine. And what I can do, just kind of redraw that and some of these. And then we can kind of make this a fold as well, I guess. There we go. So one problem is that you can't really see her hair from this front view. I'm not going to worry too much about that because you still have to look at the character from all angles anyway, and this is just a template, so yeah, I'm not going to worry about it. Let's remove this as well. It's a little bit of that as well here. Okay, so we can at least kind of see which pieces overlap. What's on front, what's on the front. Okay, I could turn the mirror off, fix this. Clean that up a little bit too. Tuck this in a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and also just fix there we go. Look at her. Obviously this hand is not really very good, but I'm not going to worry about it. Okay. And then I can also, the parts that do appear on the top can be drawn with a thicker outline, such as this one. There we go, you can see that. And there's also the skirt here, which has this. Legs. Me. There we go. Oops. Okay, so we can kind of see where things are. Let me also get the necklace cleaned up here too. Alright, cool. Oops. There we go. Additionals would be okay. Oh yeah, bolden this too. Alright, and we get this like thing here. Now with the bow I can have it kind of underlap right there. Okay, so at least now we have something we can color a little bit. So let's go ahead and pick a couple of colors that we can work with. We do a paint layer here. I can hide the notes, I think. I'm just going to kind of throw some colors on there. So let's see, so that's, oops. I can go here and do the contiguous region. Actually, I could probably remove the threshold a little bit. Oops. There we go. So actually, that's probably going to need to be a brighter green. Same with the gem on our head. Okay. That like necklace will probably be some sort of gold. As well those. You can probably do like a lighter for the, oops. And then we could do a darker gold for the rim. Same tan color for this. I'll have to do them manually. Okay, and as far as her top goes, what can I pick? This emerald green, but a very light, I think, version of it. Okay, so it didn't quite. Let me see if I can lower that right. There we go. Actually, I think I want that to be like almost a white. There we go. And then, we got to do, I think her sleeve's the same thing. This can be white. I think we'll make this kind of like a, maybe not black, but I can do like a grayish here for the little armband things, right? So I think green and white's gonna be her design language, I think. I'll give her white silver hair as well. I guess silvery. There we go, and I think this is her hair is still back here. Okay. We can have this still. I think if we hide the background, we can actually kind of see what's not colored. Do like a off-white for the this too, and then yep, right here too. Okay. And she's going to need skin color. I think a little paler is good. Actually, no, she's going to be wearing stockings. I could give her kind of like the same color. Let's see. For her stockings here. And then for her sandals, something like this. Now a little. So I think because the bow is this color, the butterfly part's gonna be. Oops. Okay, looks like we're gonna have to. Okay, and then the dress itself will be interesting because I don't want to do that because it clashes. If I did green, that would be not great either. So if there's like a secondary color, maybe this gold for the dress, we could play with that. Or maybe this gray. Actually doesn't look too bad. I like the gold as the accent color. And then the butterfly is going to have to be this thing. Unless I can make it the green. Her eyes will also be like emerald green, so we'll put that in there too. And then there's going to have to just be the whites. And the chopsticks are gold. I can go correct the colors a little bit more after this. But this does get the job done for the most part. Yeah, so we gotta see what's going on here. There we go. I can correct. And I can correct the colors manually, but this is really just kind of testing the design a little bit. So one problem is that this part comes from the here. So let's go ahead and try this. But this does give us enough to work with, right? the background. I want the background to be completely white. Okay, and then I can shrink. Okay, since we're done with the since we're done with that, we can. Okay, so this does give us something to work with, though. So let's see. Now I could clean this up as well and like actually like trace over it and all that stuff, but I think that's not necessary. What I will do though is I'll go through and try to just like clean up some of the colors. The parts that didn't really get, filled. I'll just fix that. Because then this way it's all solid, right? And then here too. Oops. Okay, and we got. Actually, I think I want to. Oops. Okay, and then yeah, and I go up here. Make that solid as well. All right. All right, and then what's pretty cool about this now is that we have all the salads down. So if we really wanted to change around some stuff, like we could change, we can make some color palette changes to test different color palettes. This is I can again go just to the fill tool again. We'll just do it like that. Oops. Oops. Fill mode. Okay. But then I would just have to say, like, if I wanted to change some things, like if I wanted the dress to be this green, right? For example, I could do that, and then it would just make things easier. But I'm gonna keep it the way it was. I kind of like this color palette. She's got a couple clear colors here. Um, I'd have to see. Maybe we could play around with some other ones. The socks clash a little bit with the basically the flowing part at the back. Um, but I don't know how much of a big deal it is. I mean, they are socks. Another thing I could do is I can just make the socks white, just like completely white. But maybe like a slightly off white, right? There we go. I like the gold. I like the gold accents in here. Um, I also have to do the gold accent here too. Maybe we do it like this. Or we do it like this. There we go. Now we got, let's see. I think the sleeves being the main color is good too. Another option I could do is just make the sleeves this color. And then make the dress like this color. I kind of like the way it is better. All right. So let's see. What's another thing? Maybe we could zoom out and look at it. The sleeves being the same color. Let's see, what do the other ones look like? Yeah, I got the same idea there. Homogeneous colors. Yeah, I just keep it that way. Another thing I could do is take this off-white and change. Actually, change that. That helps. I'm gonna change these two. Oops. And then that way the bow part is still silver. And then like you would basically what you would do as well is you draw some highlights. For like the emeralds, just take like a really white, like you draw like a highlight, kind of like that. Put it like right between here, something like along these lines. And then like draw like other highlights and stuff too, like on the gold. Kind of like something like that. I mean, doesn't look great, but you get the idea. Um, and then she'd also need some details on the eyes. I think can do. I think you usually start kind of like from the bottom. You just get like a darker color, green, kind of shade it here. Oops. And then usually there's like a dark here too. Oops. I think kind of something along these lines. And then there would have to be a pupil. No. I'm like not remembering this correctly. I think there's supposed to be like a little bit of Let me look at some real quick. Yeah, I think lighter on the bottom, darker at the top. That actually looks a little off center here. It looks worse on the other eye. And then I can do like a later one for like here. And we could do some like highlights on the eyes as well. Oh no, it always comes out awful when I do it this way. I might just honestly not even worry about it. I'll just leave it like this for now. Alright. But at least this communicates the design, and that's cool. I think another thing we can do, if we wanted to like quickly do outlines, is you can do something along these lines, I think. The wand tool, right? Is you select the outside, right? You can do select invert, and then you can just select an outline color, and you can do, hey, how you doing? It's supposed to be a stroke selection. It does let you like outline it a little bit, but because this was based on a sketch, it's got some artifacts. But those are easy enough to clean up. Just kind of erase them. No big deal. Oops. Oops. I'd have to do some more work on the like the outline anyway. But this kind of gets a quick dirty one. At least for now. But yeah, I think. Yeah, I see you just dropped in. I apologize, but I actually am just about to finish up the stream. So I did get like the core character design down. There's definitely more I could do this with this, but I kind of want to have the basic down, and then can also do like poses and stuff like that. Some key art to kind of illustrate the way a character will look in motion. But this is really just kind of a simple like forward-facing design to kind of illustrate what the character would look like. Um, it's pretty simple. And this also gives me an opportunity to play around with the color palette a little bit and make it like make more sense. Like I'm happy with it now, but I'm sure I can maybe play around the colors a little bit more. Um, but yeah, either way, I'll drop a I'll drop a this picture in the community chat so you guys can take a look at it there. Um, and yeah, I'm just gonna kind of keep working on character designs on these streams because I still got quite a few to do. I just kind of want to have some like updated ones. I'm gonna focus maybe on these like front facing ones to basically just get the primary shapes down. And then like over time I could draw more like key art ones and like the 3D models and all that good stuff. But it gives me a little bit of context at least of what the characters look like and who they are and stuff like that. So like it's good, it's a good place to start at least. Um so yeah, I thank you all for hopping on. I know I'm not the most engaging when it comes to streams, but yeah, let me know if you got feedback on these streams as well, because I'm going to try to do them weekly on the weekends, and hopefully it can get a little bit more traction on them. But either way, it doesn't matter because I hop on and I get some work done in my game, and that's like extra time toward that. So I'm happy to talk to people when they come on, explain some things. Um, so yeah, it's just really just time to kind of work on stuff, ask questions. Um, so yeah, thank you all for hopping on, and I'll see you in the next one. And enjoy the rest of your weekend.